I've grown microgreens for probably getting on for 10 years or so, maybe a bit less. But they're not microgreens in the true sense, because what I've done at the end of the season, where I'm at now on the allotment plot, I'm down the bottom of a hill, and I live on top of the hill. So in the winter, if it's icy, snowy, it can be impossible to get down here and back safely. So what I do is, in these sort of trays, or any sort of trays I've got to hand, I can line them with newspaper or with a bit of compost plastic, you know, from the old compost bags, fill them with compost and sow seeds in them. Typically it's baby leaf salad, that sort of thing, or a salad mix, and you grow them up and you harvest them, cut and come again. You get 2 or 3 goes with them. But one thing I had noticed is that when you buy sort of a cheaper budget seed, shall we say, like from Premier Seeds Direct, or as I've started to do recently, another company called Grow Seed, you get so many seeds in the packets that you're never going to grow them all. So changing to get fresh seed for the next year, you're left with a surplus. And what I've done is I've sown them over winter, typically brassicas, so things like radish and kale and cabbage and those sorts of things. And with microgreens, you let them sort of grow to a reasonable height and chop them when they are micro. What I've always done is sort of let them get between there and the lettuce leaf, sort of this sort of size. I mean, radish is brilliant for that. That's what I grew last year. I think radish and kale I had last year in a couple of trays in the greenhouse at home, so that I've got a ready supply of fresh greens if we get snowed in or we can't get out for whatever reason. But this year anyway, with Grow Seed, I got some packets of seed off them for growing microgreens, and we'll go and have a look at them in a minute. And I've got them growing in seed trays. Haven't got one to hand, but we'll go and have a look anyway and see where we're going with them. So these are the microgreens, and these are the seed that was supplied to me by Grow Seed, and I'm just growing these in seed trays. The only issue with this is the amount of growing medium that they need. It's quite thick. There are dedicated trays you can have if you so wish, but there's no reason why you can't do that. There's no reason why you can't have a sort of a 6-inch plant pot on your windowsill at home as well, if you just want a few bits of greens. Now these are getting ready for being close to harvest, but with the professional microgreen producers, those who are producing for restaurants, bistros, those sort of things, supplying them out, they will have a dedicated racking system with lights all the way along. So they'll have a light covering these, and they can get, I think I might be right in quoting, I don't know because I haven't done it like that yet, but I think it's about 10 days to harvest from seed. So they've got that turnaround, and therefore they can make a profit by producing regularly and build a business that way. I'm just doing it for us and out of interest's sake. So anyway, you can see here, I've got some here that I will be harvesting this week, and the 4 that are up, the 4 bits that are up, are all brassicas. So I've got a Chinese cabbage there, a red cabbage, a broccoli, and what was that one again? Red rhubarb. No, that's a kale. So all 4 of those are brassicas, and I kind of figured that they would be the first ones up because they will germinate at temperatures all the way down to about 5 degrees. So there's no problem there. Following closely behind, probably in second place, is this lot here, which is just a beetroot. They're going to take a bit longer. And then following closely behind that, I've got onion and carrot here. These have taken some time to germinate and get going, but they are going now. And then right behind there is this bull's blood basil. So they're going to take a bit longer. This is 2 weeks in now. As I said, if you're a professional growing under lights, probably 10 days, maybe a few days more. But there we go, that's in sort of trays. They're going to be a little bit difficult to harvest because of the level of the compost, but it's workable, it's doable, because I'm only going to be using small amounts. So I'm very pleased with them. They've worked, and I will continue to grow like this for as long as I can get germination. I will probably switch over now to just doing the brassicas from now on in as the temperatures have dropped. We had our first frost yesterday. I was quite surprised about that, but there we go, that's another story. But yeah, they've worked really well, and that's the seed supplied by Grow Seed. And so moving on from there, when I put the first video out showing the Grow Seed microgreens there, a company called Grown Local got in contact with me, and in particular the head man there, Ian, and he offered me some trays, which was incredibly nice of him. I've used them here, and he also sent me some pea seeds to try, which I've grown in here. You may just be able to make out that they've germinated and they're coming through here. And the idea is that you stack all the trays together and put a weight on them, and that makes the plants grow stronger. So what I need to do now, because we've got good germination, I'm going to move these and spread them out, and I'm going to put them in a small tunnel. So we'll get them in there and then separate the trays and have a look at them. So I'm just going to utilise for a week or so this temporary benching here in the small tunnel and set me microgreens out on here. And this is what we've got. Take the brick off, we don't need that. So I'm growing these in, this is a Garland microgreens tray, and this is the reservoir. You can see how thin it is, and this tray underneath fits inside here. This tray is ridged, it's stepped, it's like almost castellated, like on a castle wall, with holes in both the high points and the low points, so that you can get water into your plants underneath. And these trays hold the water which this tray sits in. So, and I got these from Grown Local. They're based up in Edinburgh. This first one is coriander. I went ahead and bought a big bag of seed because we love coriander in our house, and I've sown that as a microgreen, and hopefully I'll be taking it home in a couple of weeks to sit in the greenhouse over winter. We won't use vast amounts of that at any one time. It'll be little strips, so I'll probably get 5 or 6 goes from that, I would think. But that's grown in compost there, and you can see with the level of the compost and the thinness of the tray, you're not actually using a great deal of compost in there, and it will make it easier to harvest. So that's why the dedicated trays, isn't it, really? But underneath you can see the pea shoots. Then Ian at Grown Local sent me those pea tendrils to get me going, and I've spread them out in there. And this is grown in this stuff, which is coir. It's something I'd used very little of, only when somebody had given me a little bit to try a couple of years ago, or I'd actually bought plants that were planted in it, or somebody gave me plants that it was planted in. And to be honest with you, the water retention this stuff has got is brilliant, and it's probably, don't know yet, as yet, probably going to replace peat, I would think, which is a good thing, a really good thing. So yeah, I'm super impressed with that. That's coir, and that came supplied to me as a block, a compressed block, and I had to wet it. I put too much water in initially, and I had to wring it all out and sieve it and start again, but it appear to be okay now and getting away. But these are the peas, and when they get up to about here, we'll start harvesting them and put them in the salads. So very pleased with these. That's coir, and that one over there is compost. So yeah, I'm very pleased with how these are looking, along with the other ones I've got in the other tunnel. Now I'm going to harvest some of these, not many of them, some of the brassicas in the early part of this next week. What I'm really wanting to do is to allow these carrots and onions to come up, and maybe the beetroot too, so that we can get a good taste of all of them together, and to see how that really works, give me a better idea of what complements what, so to speak. But that's me, chefy side, taking over, wanting to know what works. But I say we'll have a crack at them sort of Monday, Tuesday, I would think. But anyway, that's it for now. I'm very pleased with the way these are progressing from very little effort and input from me. To say, if they were under lights, they'd be rocketing away and they would have been ready and out and done by now. I've no doubt about that. And I'm still trying to organise the space at home. I've got a light at home, and it'd be nice to get some underlights and see the difference. More importantly, show the difference, which I think would be quite interesting. Anyway, that's it for now. Look after yourselves, everyone. Please stay safe. I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.